Well, this particular Fox 11 Investigates takes a look at the NFL and their promise 4 years ago to correct what happened at the Super Bowl then involving tickets that people had purchased, but they didn't get a seat, or they got a seat after the game had started. So we're following up on what happened 4 years ago, trying to make sure that the NFL fulfills its commitment to its fans, particularly a lot of Packers fans. It was an interesting story, getting to know some fans. I was at the Super Bowl 4 years ago, and we actually saw the seats that were covered up. I mean, they had put black fabric over these seats that you couldn't sit in. At the time, we didn't know what was going on, and it wasn't until after the game had got underway and we realized what was happening that there were some actual 3,000 fans who had purchased tickets but weren't given a seat. Now, some of them were eventually, the NFL found seats for them elsewhere. Others were just left to roam in the stadium. And so what happened to these fans? I mean, they had offered initially, we're going to give you the money back for your ticket. But a lot of them got them from scalpers or resale, and they paid 2-3 times the amount. So the NFL came back again and again saying, we're going to make good on this, And one of the options was, we'll give you tickets to a future Super Bowl, and we'll give you better seats. And so we wanted to take a look to see, did the NFL do that? Are they doing that? And are there still Packers fans out there who haven't taken up this option yet? And that's what we found. There are plenty. I mean, they're waiting for the Packers to go back to the Super Bowl. They hoped it was going to be this year, but unfortunately the Packers didn't make it. But next year, San Francisco, Super Bowl 50, that might be the one. The NFL doesn't like to talk a lot. They, at the time of this, when this happened 4 years ago, they were kind of hush-hush about it. I mean, they didn't know what to do. In the weeks after that, they came up with a plan to try and make good to these fans who were displaced or relocated during the game. Currently, we contacted the we contacted the NFL to try and see how far along this process has gone. I mean, have they made good on their promise to all these fans? How many fans have taken them up on this option? How many fans took a cash buyout, and how many fans are waiting to go back to the Super Bowl? Well, they could tell us some figures, but they couldn't tell us a lot. I think this is still playing out for a number of them, both the Packers and the Steelers who were in that game, and their fans who were there. They haven't been back to the Super Bowl. So I think a lot are still holding out hope. Now, there are also some, we found out, who have filed lawsuits against the NFL and the Cowboys. At the time, it was Cowboy Stadium. They filed lawsuits in 2 years, we discovered through court documents. 2 years after that Super Bowl, only 70% of the fans had signed an agreement with the NFL, basically, giving up their legal rights. So they were taking one of the options. But that left 30% who still were looking for, something bigger, perhaps a lawsuit. And we, in fact, find out there is a trial set to get underway in about a month if that can't be worked out in the meantime. I think what we found out from this was I don't think the NFL is going to make this mistake again. It was kind of an interesting situation. It was Cowboy Stadium, the largest stadium in the league pretty much, and they were adding seats because they wanted to break the Super Bowl attendance record of all time. The #1 Super Bowl attendance was Super Bowl 14. That was in Pasadena years and years ago. This was Super Bowl 45, and by getting 104,000 in that stadium, they would break the record. These seats would have done it if they were ready, but unfortunately, fire marshals said they weren't safe. They were still working on these seats, even up to hours before the game started. They just couldn't make them okay for fans, and so therefore they did not break the record. They currently, I think, are the 4th most attended Super Bowl there, Super Bowl 45. I think it was a big customer service snafu. I mean, this was an embarrassment to the NFL, an embarrassment to the Cowboys organization that this even happened. They tried to cover it up, I think, early on. I mean, the day of the Super Bowl, they had a game to play, and so they had more important things really, but they had some 3,000 fans who were being displaced or moved around and held in pens. It was a corporate nightmare for them, and I think they responded fairly well and fairly quickly after that, pledging to make good on this promise, to correct the problem. And I think over the last 4 years, they have worked to do this. They're still in communication with these fans who still haven't taken them up on the offer of those tickets to Super Bowl in the future. So I think they're doing pretty well, and I think we can say confidently that they don't want this to happen again. So I think they learned their lesson.